Emily Fontaine doesn't just talk about AI ROI, she lives it, and she lives it from several angles, one of which is actually leading IBM's venture investments. Now, that's a gig. Emily's seen what works, startups that convert pilots to enterprise contracts, solutions with laser-focused execution, and AI that actually delivers hard numbers, cost savings, revenue growth, etc. So IBM is already saving billions in AI productivity gains, and Emily has a pretty good idea of where investors should place their bets. While this session is also not going to be investment advice, folks, please mark my words, it might just be your roadmap to allocating your resources wisely and to achieving sustainable AI returns. Greg is back on the stage with us to lead this conversation. So welcome back, Greg, and welcome, Emily.
Thanks,
Emily,
Maxwell.
Emily, good to see you again.
Greg, great to see you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. All right, I'm going to get right into it. Actually, no, let me take a step back first. So,
Okay.
as Maxwell said, just for the audience, Emily has been chief of staff to the CEO of IBM. She ran a federal consulting business for IBM, and now she runs IBM's investments. I think it's a $500 million fund or something like that. So Emily's got, I think, for all of us, a great different lens here, or multiple lenses to look at AI through. I actually want to start, Emily, first with what's happening with generative AI, and I do want to highlight, sort of focus to generative AI. I know you guys have been in the AI business a long time at IBM, but let's really talk about AI from the perspective of this current kind of era or version of it, more general purpose AI, as we know it, generative AI. So let's talk about first that as it relates to IBM. What are you seeing inside of IBM in terms of the deployment of these technologies and productivity gains or other gains that might be happening? Where is it happening? And any lessons you can share first about the reality of AI inside the IBM workforce?
Yeah. So, Greg, amazing. I'm thrilled to be here. This is such a great event. I was able to listen in the last session. So fantastic. Let me just start very quickly. I'm going to break your question down to a few parts, if that's okay. I'm going to start by telling the folks here a little bit about IBM Ventures, because I think it's a really compelling story and a great place to start. So IBM, as a lot of you know, has led computing innovation for over a century, whether that's the mainframe, now to AI, looking forward to quantum. Our focus really remains on building what's next in enterprise technology, powered by world-class R&D in a thriving ecosystem, an ecosystem of startups and partners. I think that's really important. To accelerate this mission, Greg, you absolutely hit it. We launched a $500 million AI fund. That is one of the many things I do at IBM, but it's a very exciting space. It's really central to our strategy of investing and partnering kind of with that next generation of enterprise software companies. And we've already invested in dozens of startups globally. And really, from my perspective, we're just getting started. And what differentiates us, which is what I really want to hit on, is this idea of our Capital Plus model. IBM is not just an investor, and I think Maxwell said, well, I'm not here to give investment advice. We're really a strategic partner, right? And I think that's really important. And we're collaborating with these early stage startups, developing the AI and quantum that I talked about, that are solving today's most complex enterprise challenges. We're helping them scale by unlocking, using our global reach, our technical expertise, our trusted relationships. We partner with top tier VCs. We generally invest seed to Series B. We target 2 to 5% equity. But really, we want to align on what IBM's core areas are. And this is what you're getting at, right? It's AI infrastructure, it's applications, and as we look to the future, it's quantum computing. And generally, these startups typically fall within 3 key categories, right? Technology enablers, right, that enhance our own offerings. They're ecosystem partners that are driving that joint go-to-market, or they're kind of disruptive innovators that are redefining computing. And as a strategic investor, I really want to help our founders kind of grow, scale, and integrate with IBM and offer that differentiated access, client collaboration. It's a better together story. I'll give you a quick example before I jump into where the state of AI is today. And that's off mine. It's
hold on a sec, Emily. My question was, let me ask the question differently then.
Yeah.
Your conviction of AI, I'm assuming your deep conviction for the potential of AI,
Yeah.
this generation of AI, is at least some extent informed by what you're seeing
Yeah,
inside
of
of
course.
IBM in
Yeah.
terms of IBM employees being able to leverage these technologies, get value from them in their everyday work.
Yeah, and what you're referencing is like no matter what industry, no matter what geography, no matter what, every business unit wants growth, right, Greg? I think that goes without saying. I'm sure everyone on this call, and there's really that is the reason why AI is so transformative, right? It presents us the best way to boost productivity that has never existed before. So I think what you're referencing is IBM's Client Zero story. So let me tell you a little bit about that, and then we can kind of jump back because I do want to get to where the state of AI is and what I'm seeing. Um, and that's the idea. In 2023, Arvind, IBM CEO, set the challenge to rethink and reshape IBM to become the most productive company in the world, right? And in doing so, we work to redefine how the company operates through AI plus. And what do we mean by AI plus? We mean traditional AI, Gen AI, business operations, right? And since then, we have been testing our own technology on ourselves, drinking our own champagne, as they say, and that's the client zero approach. IBM as client zero, we mean by that is being the first users of our own AI, hybrid cloud, automation capabilities before they even reach our clients. And our interconnected approach really allows us to continuously look forward and sustain that momentum for the future. So, Greg, I know what you want to hear, right? You want to hear the numbers. The people want to hear numbers.
No,
We'll repeat that
I
here.
don't know if we need.
I-
We don't need to necessarily hear numbers. I think we just want to hear,
yeah.
you know,
So let me get
lessons.
there.
Lesson.
Yeah.
Well, we only have half an hour, so we got to get there
Yep.
fast. Lessons
Yep.
learned.
Okay.
Lessons learned or insights for the audience around. Yeah, how's it going so far? If you're client
Yeah.
zero, which I love the idea of client zero, obviously eat your own dog food. So
We
how's
drink
it
our own
going?
champagne though, Greg. We don't need our own dog
Okay,
food.
all right.
That's
Drink your
good.
own champagne. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. How's it
Yeah.
going?
Yeah, exactly. So look, this is where I'm getting, right? Is that we expect approximately 4.5 billion in annual run rate productivity savings by the end of 2025. That's up 3 point. This is why I want to get to the numbers, right? That's
Yeah.
3.5. That's up 3.5 billion from the end of 2024. So it's gone extremely well. How have we done that? People might ask. It's we follow the core principle. It's eliminate, simplify, and automate, right? And that's guided our internal transformation and operational efficiencies. We've transformed over 70 plus work flows, right? The first step for anyone out there who wants to do something like this is eliminate unnecessary processes. The next step is radically simplify what remains. The third is automate everything you can and embed AI whenever possible, right? And that's the idea of connecting those siloed systems into centralized enterprise performance data platforms. We did that by embedding into AI support, customer operations, HR, right? And it's that shift from efficiencies to what we call extreme productivity. It frees up people to focus on the high value, strategic, creative work where AI reduces the manual tasks.
Yeah. So honestly, I just want to focus on the framework. It's a great framework for the
Sure.
audience. I just want to
Yeah.
eliminate, simplify, and what was
Automate.
it? Automate. Thank you. So
Yeah.
let's.
So,
So
and I can share
how
that.
how's this start, Emily? I'm just curious when you kick off that first phase or that first phase, I guess, eliminate. Are you is this like an AI SWAT team coming into a business unit or a function, or is it the function itself doing that? Like, how do you guys think about moving
Yeah.
through these phases, and especially that first phase, right? Which cause you want to get momentum in that first phase. Yeah, just how do you guys think about doing that?
Yeah, look, it's this idea of like going in and thinking about, and it's cross-functional. We have an amazing team that does transformation. It's looking at the tasks that aren't needed, right? It's that elimination, and also it's simplification, right? It's that idea. It's like, okay, what's needed, what can be simplified, and then the third element is, okay, if you've got those remaining tasks, right? How do you automate some of those? How do you embed
Yep.
AI, right? That's why we're using AI, and I'll share an example. Let's look at Ask HR. That's something that we implemented.
Yep.
It resolves 95% of inquiries instantly. And this is going to be exciting for people. it has made our promotion cycles 75% faster, which
Okay.
I love,
So
right?
promotion cycles mean, just so the audience understand what that means. So basically running so explain what that means. Because that is that's a good outcome, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's break down the first one. And when I think of 95%,
Yeah.
right. Look, how many of you have been managers? How many of you have bought houses? How many of you rented? How many of you need an employee letter? Right? Now, instead of asking Greg, me going to you going to HR, right? Now you can do it instantly, which is really, really exciting, right? And it can not even do that. It comes back and it then automatically goes to, you can automatically have it go straight to your whoever you needed to go to, right? It's really exciting. And then promotion cycles, again, it's really an exciting opportunity to help identify people. Are they ready, right? It makes the manager process a lot easier. The other thing that I think has been a really exciting thing for us is customer support. 70% of inquiries resolved digitally, 29% faster for complex cases, 165 million in savings since 2022. And this is what I love is a 25% satisfaction lift, right? So it's when I contact IT support, they actually get back to me now in a much faster way and my problems resolved quicker, right? So it's like these are the real internal savings that we're seeing that they were
And
able.
these are projects or programs, Emily. They're like 2 or 3 years, kind of from how long ago do you think these things got off the ground? So because these are, yeah.
It
What's that
depends,
path?
right? It really
Yeah.
depends, right? So I mean, look, the IT customer support 165 million in savings since 2022,
Yeah.
right? So that's you look back, right?
Yeah.
Um, but Greg, like, look, I mean, that's our client. No, we want to
So
talk.
no, I think we start. That's enough. That's enough. Meaning, let's pivot. That's
Okay,
laser. Like you guys are all. Here's my takeaway. You're all in. You are
all in.
You're publicly reporting these numbers, right? In terms of
Yeah,
gains and savings.
yeah,
Uh, in some of the places where we would expect customer service and support. HR is an emerging use case, I think, for
yeah,
AI, both for small companies and for huge organizations like
yeah,
IBM. So that's good. Um, so all of that fuels the conviction you have and the $500 million you have to invest. So then
yeah,
let's pivot to that because I think you also have a lens on you're seeing these startups that you're investing in selling to the enterprise, and
yeah.
presumably I would imagine one of your investment criteria to make an investment in an AI startup is you have to have conviction that they're going to generate value for their own enterprise customers, right? Like if you're going to invest in these startups, you have to see some evidence that they're actually generating the expected outcome for their enterprise customers, which is
Of course.
probably productivity gains and efficiency and so on. So yeah, let's pivot there. What are you seeing? What I'm seeing is these hockey stick growth rates of what I call vertical AI, or AI, that AI application layer. First was in software engineering and coding, but now in other categories, legal and so on. Is that just kind of riff on that? What are you seeing, and what do those hockey stick growth
Yeah,
rates tell you
yeah,
about this product market fit that's
yeah,
going on?
yeah. I think a few things. Look, I think we got to acknowledge the market where it is now, right? Before we do that, right? And the first thing I would say, like, look at the state of AI, right? You're getting real traction. Enterprise AI adoption is now mainstream, is accelerating, and that's across all those areas: application, infrastructure, hardware. 42% of enterprises are now using AI tools. That's up from 26% in recent months. Like that's a big jump, right? If we acknowledge
Yep.
that. I think the
Yep.
global market now is projecting the last numbers I saw to hit 5 trillion in 2020 in 2033, right? And Greg, what you're referencing, right, is that AI adoption is sector wide, finance and tech are leading it, but I think when you talk about verticals, right, your enterprises are really seeking specialized tailored solutions, right, versus just the kind of the widespread. Um, Tons of venture dollars are flowing. If we look at the market, 104 billion in the past year. I mean, OpenAI, right, 40 billion round. Uh, corporate venture capital, right, is up from 20, where it was in
Yep.
2024. Not a big surprise, but like look, I think vibe coding, if we look, okay, so let's look at what the next 3 to 5 years looks like, right? In my mind, there's lots of trends. I'll give you the top three I think are probably the most exciting, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
And look, I think you started to reference it. Vibe coding is going to redefine software development. And I will tell everyone what vibe coding is, just to make sure we're all on the same playing field here. It's a development approach where engineers are working directly with LLMs and AI agents with high level instructions. They're acting more like architects and reviewers than line by line coders.
Mhm.
This enables faster, more frequent software development to accelerate innovation, right? And why does it matter?
Yep.
You accelerate innovation by kind of compressing the development cycle. 60% of developers are now using AI coding, right? That's a
Mhm.
huge number for people, right? Everyone knows Cursor is the leading vibe coding platform. I mean, they scaled from 1 million to 100 million in ARR in 2024, and then they surged to 500 million in a few months. That's explosive demand. But again, it's not, and the last panel talked about this before, it's not just about productivity. That's a huge part of it. But why this matters in the next 3 to 5 years is because it's going to fundamentally change the role of developers. It's going to shift the focus to system design, validation, governance, and therefore it's going to fundamentally shift the way that software engineering is. And so that's a space to continue to watch. It's a space
And do you think
investing.
as a result, Emily, engineering teams get bigger or smaller or stay the same size
I think they
or
get different.
yeah?
I think they
Okay.
get different. I think the barrier to entry for deep technical folks is less, but you're still going to need those deep technical folks, right?
Yep. So again, I just want to bring it back to our theme for the whole day, ROI. So in your mind, AI ROI for software engineering or for investments in your
Yeah,
engineering and technical team, a no-brainer.
yeah,
The ROI of
absolutely.
AI is absolutely like that's a slam dunk.
Yeah. I think the next interesting space is this idea of a multi-model strategy. What do I mean by that? Assistance, which we have now, to autonomous agents,
Hmm.
right? In that shift. So this idea that enterprises are moving beyond single model reliance to that multi-model strategy. And they're doing
Hmm.
this for flexibility, accuracy, and most importantly, cost control, right?
Hmm.
So this is the idea that model routing is now going to be the new backbone, right?
Hmm.
Whereas platforms can now route each request to the best model, adapt prompts, provide intelligent feedback. If I was part of the enterprise here on here, I would care deeply about this because it reduces vendor lock-in, right? Which is we know
Hmm.
is hugely important and it improves resilience. So this is another really important trend that I see, and it matters deeply to the enterprises, right? Because it's this idea that it's like it aligns with IBM's vision of being open, secure, and flexible AI ecosystems, and it's going to improve accuracy, speed, and cost efficiencies. Again, we are seeing this. We're going to continue to see this. I think this is a great place that's going to continue to get a return on investment. 85% of enterprises are using two or more models now in production or testing, right? Which is huge, right? And then you're going to continue to get both a multi-model strategy models, but different architectures, right? So again, an interesting, Greg, space to watch.
Yeah, yeah, let's make that let's bring that into sharper focus, Emily.
Sure,
So if I'm the leader, if I'm the CEO of a 100-person company, or the leader of a team, maybe a marketing team or a
sure.
sales team, something like that, inside of a larger org,
Yep.
should I be thinking that way as well?
You should
Or
absolutely be thinking of
but
having a
because
multi-model strategy.
yeah, I know, but hold sec. But right now, though, my reality is I'm having a hard time getting more than 10% of my employees to use the one model. Like that's what the data says,
But are they
right?
use? Let me ask you. Let me ask this, and I can ask the audience this: Are they doing that because they're not seeing? Are they not using the right model, therefore not seeing the right return?
Yeah, I mean that's a
And
fair
so,
question. That's a
right?
great
And so
question. Yeah.
it's. I think it's really important to make sure that you're utilizing the same model. I said this back a while ago, right? I think sometimes people are not seeing return. Like, look, are you using classical AI? Are you using Gen AI? Are you using quantum? Like, you've got to make sure you're using the right capabilities for your workloads, right? I think
Yeah.
as we continue to drive forward, you're going to continue to see people, you're going to better results when you can put things through the right model that gives the right results. But you need this idea of a model router because you shouldn't be selecting yourself and doing all that testing. That's not an efficient use of your time. Let
Yeah.
AI technology do that.
Yeah. That's
Greg,
fair.
let me hit you with one more. that I think is
Sure.
really exciting, that is like totally newish, and I put that in quotes, not new for some of us, but going to be potentially new for a lot of people. And that's reinforcement learning, RL, right? I think that is the next frontier of enterprise AI. And what is that? I'm going to define it for you guys. It's the training of AI agents by interacting with their environment, learning from rewards, penalties, to refine decision making over time. It's going to underpin reasoning, planning, and adaptability. It's going to be critical for those complex, dynamic workloads, and it's going to move AI beyond that static prediction into continuous improvement and autonomy. Right now, it's heavily being used in research labs, and they're scaling it to kind of boost that reasoning and multi-step process. I don't think enterprises have really looked at this enough, right? And I think you're going to get kind of that dual layer. This is where it gets really exciting, of combining what's going on with the lab scale RL and the broader skills where it's going to continue to improve with the enterprise level speciality of tasks. And this approach is going to have high capability aligned with business priorities. And that's really exciting because now you can use RL, it can be fine-tuned to optimize unique KPIs, whether that's from supply chain efficiencies to financial risk management, right? And if you start to incorporate this, it's going to give you a real competitive edge because it's going to start to better learn and understand your business, what you want to get after, and that type of stuff. I think that's
So like really dialing in my AI to
yeah,
to what I need it to do is what you're saying, right?
what
Reliably,
you care about. What
right,
are your KPIs? And your KPIs
right.
are probably, even if we work for the same company, vastly different than mine because we've got different jobs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And so I
I
think,
guess yeah. No, I
yeah,
get it.
Greg,
I'm struggling with all this in terms of where it's going, though, with where we're seem to be getting stuck, which is, this typical organization, the CTO has bought ChatGPT Enterprise, or I don't
yeah,
know, Microsoft Copilot Pro, whatever it is, maybe more than one, two or three. We heard that from an earlier guest that, they've got, I think,
yeah,
four or five LLMs available to most employees. And again, what the data showing that this is stalling out in this moment in terms of everyday employee adoption seems to be stalling out. Therefore, we're not going to get to the ROI. Just curious what your point of view on this is, and when you invest in your startups, what are you seeing them doing to solve for that? Because
yeah,
presumably these application layer, but the application layer startups that you're investing in and talking to,
yeah.
they must be worried about this.
They are a little bit, right? I think like we're super early. I think sometimes we forget that. We're so excited to use it and for it to transform into chat or Copilot, which now has chat, 1,000 questions, have it check our tonnage of our emails and help with draft emails. Great, fantastic. But if we look at the evolution of, say, the internet, the PC, right, our big things, it's like those took 15 years to have measurable gains. I don't think we'll see that, but I think it's like we're so early. I think people need to continue to have patience, and they're gonna have meaningful outcomes. There absolutely is going to. We're already seeing it internally at IBM. I shared that story. I think
Yep.
it's finding the right use cases. And it's also just not like wide sweeping, okay, we're just gonna start using AI now. It's like, no, where
Yeah.
are you gonna start? And then from there, that's that land and expand model, right? So I would just say to people, it's
And
like,
then so I agree. How do we keep the CFO off of our back then? He or she wants to see, like, where's the ROI, or this software is not cheap, right?
no, it's not. But like, look, I'm a big fan of land and expand. I'm a big fan of like, and look, you know how I feel about POCs. I think they're super important, and I think that they're very telling, and we can talk a little bit about that. But like, I think you got to pick one or two areas. You got to show, and we did this as well at IBM with our Client Zero story, right? We started, using HR is a great example. IT support. It's like we didn't start with 70 workflows, right? We started with a few that were measurable, that we could see the real opportunity. And then as that gained momentum, when we saw real return, we continue to drive success, right? So I think that's what I always tell people. I'm like, look, start small, show, and then continue to grow.
Yeah. Let's switch to investing in AI
Sure.
as we race to the close here,
Yes.
Emily.
I can't
For
believe we
most
only have 10 minutes left. 7
Yeah,
minutes.
for most of us, there aren't many choices currently, right? At least in the public markets, there's just a few companies that we could invest in, at least at this point. But when you think about investing in AI, based on your own investments through the fund, and you talked about the three trends you're most excited about, the sort of what's coming, but say more around what you're looking for in these startups that gives you conviction that these are the companies you should be backing, and what sort of what are you looking for in the winners?
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, I always measure against 5 key pillars. I anchor that around that. I think strategic fit. For that, I say I want to back a company with a differentiated vision that has aligned to major trends or a long-term strategy, my long-term strategy and long-term strategy IBM. I look for technology and product, right? This is a really important one. This is breakthrough solutions with validated traction, right? And have they done a POC? Do they have a pipeline? Have they converted that POC to an actual contract, right? I'm not looking for millions and millions of dollars in ARR, but I'm looking for something meaningful. And then do they have a product that is exceptional, right? Is it differentiated? Then I look at the third space I look at is opportunity, market opportunity, a large TAM. That's a total addressable market, right? Are there strong tailwinds? Is there a clear white space for leadership? Then, probably most importantly, in the early stage, the seed stage is the A, is the team. Are there high caliber founders, right? You're betting on people. Do they have deep expertise in domain spaces? I co-invest, which I shared early in the beginning. So I look at the cap table. Do I trust that cap table? Are they going to actually be helpful? And then the final thing I look at, of course, and we talked about this, financial discipline. Is it scalable models? Do they have realistic milestones? Do they have sound economics, right? Those are the 5 areas. And if you really do your deep due diligence in all those areas and you feel confident, you give it a letter score, A, B, C, D,
Yep.
if you're comfortable and almost all of them are B plus, A minuses, if not A's, then you're making a good bet.
Emily, that sounds like the scorecard an enterprise leader should be using. Similar, right? Maybe the same if they're evaluating themselves to buy software from an AI
Absolutely.
startup, right? If you think about,
Absolutely.
and that's why I wanted you to walk through this sort of framework because, again, on the buy side, a lot of vendors are calling now saying, hey, look at my solution, right?
Yes.
And related to that, and I want to go back to your POC comment.
Yep.
I want to talk about how long should the POC be? You think about it as an investor, are these POCs, valid and do they convert into something? I think as a buyer, as someone again investing in a POC, hoping to see some ROI at some point, how long should that POC be? That's my first question. My second is, and I think it's relevant to both you as an investor and again as an enterprise AI buyer, is this question of, well, what happens if I pick a technology or a platform and then the frontier models, they get their solution gets kind of subsumed by a chat GPT or a Claude, right? So as a buyer, should I be just, how cautious should I be around buying a specific point solution, a vertical AI app, or should I be kind of waiting maybe for that functionality to come from sort of maybe one of the major platform vendors? Let's do POCs first, and let's talk about differentiated AI inside the enterprise.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, look, I believe strongly in doing a POC, right? And I think it's really important to be able to have those POCs actually convert, right? I mean, we're at an incredibly exciting moment for AI. The innovation pace is staggering, right? I think there are a few things you need to look at, and I would ask yourself these questions. Can you turn these promising pilots to enterprise-wide performance? Right? That's a question you should ask yourself, right? And if you don't see the potential, don't do a POC, right? It's not worth your time, energy, or money, right? I think the strongest signal for me when I look at convertible contracts is like if it goes from POC to contract, it's a clear signal the solution is adding real business value, right? You've got momentum, right? It goes from a shift of being a test case to a business case.
You want that to happen in a year, in 6
I want it
months?
to happen in 6 months.
Okay.
If a company can move from pilot to signed agreement in under 6 months, it shows alignment, urgency, and clarity of value.
Yep.
But Greg, let me say something. Speed does not mean rushing. It means readiness. And I think that's really important, right? For people to know, right? And then Also, I would look at like renewals are great signs, right? But ultimately, the thing I always look at, and I hammered down whether I was on the actual delivering of capability side, the investing in capability side, is referenceability. I always look for trust signals in being a referenceable client for someone, or being on the other side, then being willing to go to market together. That is a sign you believe the solution is mature, it's reliable, and it's ready to scale.
Yep. Let's switch to the second part of my question, Emily, which
Yep.
is how concerned are you as you invest, and do you think enterprise buyers should be around, buying a point solution that might eventually get wrapped into someone else's broader application?
Yeah. Look, I think the first question, and we've got a really active audience, so I'm gonna ask them. They can answer this question on the chat for me. First, are you truly building a differentiated AI, or are you just using a tool that's using AI or using an existing model? Second, is there real demand now? Right? Is there a real is there a path? And we talk 3 to 5 years. Is there a clear path to strategic relevance in 3 to 5 years? And the third thing I think you need to be really careful about is you're going to need to, is that solution, and is what you're getting at, filling a major gap that LLM providers aren't addressing? And if it is, it's like, I don't know if you should go head to head with them, but you should figure out, how do I complement, not compete with those giants? And if you can answer those questions, and you can go back to the framework I talked about, those 5 pillars, those are smart investments if you feel comfortable in those spaces.
And how would you think about it differently when you think about the enterprise buyer, or would you think about it the same way? Meaning, I'm the head of marketing, I'm the head of sales.
I think about it the same way. And
Right.
oftentimes, Greg, I will tell you, when we're looking at startups and partners, almost all of them come to me and will ask me to help them assess.
Yeah.
Because they like the framework and they like the way we're thinking about it, and we're doing that deep due diligence, because we want to make sure that when we are partnering with people, we're investing with people, it's sustainable and it's for future growth.
All right, 2 last questions, Emily. We're out of time, but I want to take
I'll
take
give
the
them
time.
quick.
I want to take the time. First is, you talked about those 3 big trends, but give us where's an opportunity that most people aren't realizing as relates to enterprise AI? Is there anything that's overlooked or not considered?
I think reinforcement learning is where to look.
Okay.
I gave that one, Greg, because I think it's new, I think it's exciting, and I think it's going to completely change the way that enterprise AI is being utilized.
So let's spend then, I won't ask the second question. Let's spend the 30 seconds on that, just so the whole audience understands. What you mean by that is tools and services that will help the enterprise tune their AI to deliver on their use cases, their specific use cases, their specific KPIs.
Greg, their business priorities.
Right.
Let me give you 3 key takeaways that I'm seeing right now that I want to give to leaders. The first is enterprise AI adoption is accelerating. We know that, we see it. It's reshaping the way we do enterprise workloads. The other thing, which is what you're getting at right now, is the specialization is key. Startups in AI companies that are tailoring and are using domain-specific solutions to meet those enterprise needs are winning. The next thing we didn't really talk about, and it'll be our cliffhanger, is compute is I don't know if I want to say new, it's the battleground, right? Frontier reasoning models are driving massive demand. And that's opening opportunities for hardware, software, networking, for those startups to come into play, right? And to figure out, how do we get compute inferencing costs lower?
Yep.
So those are the kind of the 3. I know we're over time, but I think those are the 3 key things I think I would leave people to think about, marinate on, talk in the chat about. So.
Love it. And you're right. We have a very active chat.
Yes, I love it.
Not short of opinions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, look, and I think I just saw one pop up. It's like, and I think I'm a big believer in a multi-model strategy. I think that's a combination of small LLMs, large LLMs coming together to give you the best solution.
Yeah. Emily, great to see you. To see you again. Come back. We'll do this again next year.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. See you.